companies should be well run, they should be well governed, they should treat their customers well, they should treat their staff well. That should all be part of doing business. That shouldn't be some separate strategy you have around social intervention. And what they shouldn't do is take views on social issues that are beyond their remit. So they shouldn't try to influence debates around, say, Brexit or trans these other issues which are complicated and nuanced. And actually, if you take a binary view, you can get it very wrong.
The Times is now reporting that the privacy regulator is examining whether NatWest broke confidentiality rules when its chief executive shared personal details about Nigel Farage. That was a clear breach of confidentiality. Dame Alison Rose resigned after admitting she was the source of turned out to be a wrong BBC story about Farage's finances. I want to talk now to Oliver Shah, who's here with me in the studio and is covering the story. Oliver, welcome then to the studio. What we can certainly see now in front of us, one of our biggest banks has been pretty much cornered by Nigel Farage, and the whole banking sector is feeling the heat.
Yeah, it's been humiliating for NatWest the past few weeks and months. In taking this approach with Nigel Farage, they've underestimated, I think, a very skilled campaigner who has a strong voice. He has his show on GB News. He has a big Twitter following. And he's quite adept at fighting and being the underdog, and that's what he's done in terms of getting hold of this dossier via this subject access request, making it public, making a splash in the Telegraph. And Times leader today said that getting the truth out of NatWest has been like pulling a molar, and they seem to have been trying to, at the very least, be economical with the truth all the way along.
They underestimated the person they were dealing with. I wonder if they estimated him at all. I suspect not. And now Nigel Farage after having secured the scalp of the chief executive, he wants the chairman, Sir Howard Davis, and the entire board. And has he got any chance of getting those scalps too? Maybe, from one point of view, it doesn't matter. It just keeps the momentum going.
Whether he will personally get it by calling for it, I doubt. But I think that is what will happen in the end. Actually, the whole board has failed. Howard Davies has failed as the chairman. You look at the shambles around Alison Rose's firing last night at 5 p.m. ish. The board fully supports her. By 1:45 a.m. she's gone after pressure from the government and a load of negative front pages overnight. Howard Davies has shown himself to have poor judgment throughout. The board has been weak. The board has not properly got to the bottom of it from the start. He'll need to go. The senior independent director will need to go, and there'll be a full clear out in time, I think. I don't think investors are going to let this comprehensively failed team carry on.
My God, what an own goal, Oliver. Look, I mean, it's opened up all sorts, as I say, all sorts of cans of worms on ethics, on propriety, on business practice in the banking sector. On what grounds can a bank refuse a customer's business? I mean, short of, presumably well-founded fear of exposure to criminality.
Yeah, my understanding is that a bank can't discriminate on the grounds of religious or political belief. So I don't think that is allowable. I suppose they can. Allowable
under what rule? What statute? Under what?
I would have to check that, I'll admit. But it seemed with NatWest they were weighing the reputational impact of having Nigel Farage as a customer,
which is a less tangible concept, and
against the commercial upside of keeping him.
I mean, NatWest and other banks and no doubt other big organisations, they can and they do profess values, don't they? Which I guess implies a value or moral judgment about who they deal with.
Yeah, and I was listening to the debate you and Stig were having just now. I think it's a very interesting topic. It's been very fashionable in the past few years for companies to say they are purpose-led, as NatWest is, and that always struck me as a bit of a woolly concept. What is purpose and what does that mean, and how is that different from selling your product and doing it well and getting on with life? And I think companies should be well run, they should be well governed, they should treat their customers well, they should treat their staff well. That should all be part of doing business. That shouldn't be some separate strategy you have around social intervention. And what they shouldn't do is take views on social issues that are beyond their remit. So they shouldn't try to influence debates around, say, Brexit or trans these other issues which are complicated and nuanced. And actually, if you take a binary view, you can get it very wrong. So I don't think they should drift into that.
I mean, the Financial Conduct Authority, the Information Commission are taking a hand in the question of confidentiality of information. That is a clear part of their job. It's not quite clear what a government can do beyond calling people in and telling them, just behave yourselves, don't look out for freedom of speech. What can a government do to compel a bank to do in these circumstances?
In practice, I don't think the government's going to have to do very much. I mean, this case will have sent an electric shock through the boardroom of every bank and financial institution in the country and probably beyond. And I think anyone looking to do a similar weeding out of undesirables would think again very strongly after seeing the damage this has done to NatWest.
Sounds like a strong point. Oliver Shah of the Sunday Times, thank you. Good to get your thoughts.
Good to see you.